President of Asian Development Bank, Masatsugu Asakawa, has said that despite the disruption caused by COVID pandemic, India remains the fastest growing major economy with expected 7% growth in the current fiscal. Mr. Asakawa met Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman in New Delhi on Tuesday. This is Mr. Asakawa's maiden visit to India since taking over as the president of ADB in 2020. Mr. Asakawa also complimented Mrs. Sitharaman for India's G20 presidency and conveyed ADB's support for various initiatives India has taken under its G20 presidency. He welcomed the finance minister's prioritization of green growth in the Union Budget 2023-24. He also appreciated Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision for Mission Life, connecting individuals to the cause of the environment. During the meeting, Finance Minister Mrs. Sitharaman acknowledged the swift response and support provided by ADB to all its developing member countries, including India, during the COVID 19 pandemic. She appreciated Asian Development Bank's support to India's G20 presidency priorities both in the Sherpa and finance track. Mrs. Sitharaman suggested to Mr. Asakawa that ADB may attune its priorities to the Government of India's vision for Amrit Kal and initiatives like energy transition, PM Gedi Shakti, logistics policy, industrial corridors, climate change adaptation, health and skill India. The Asian Development Bank president informed Mrs. Sitharaman that following the guidance of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, ADB has set up the Secretariat for South Asia Sub-Regional Economic Cooperation in ADB's India office. Union Minister of State for Science and Technology Dr. Jitendra Singh said that India's bioeconomy is poised to touch $300 billion by 2030, and it is all set to join the global wave of a new industrial revolution. Speaking at the National Consultation Meeting on Biomanufacturing, the minister said the government is committed to enable circular bioeconomy by advancing high-performance biomanufacturing in the country. Dr. Singh said India envisions green growth in ensuring Amrit Kal. This, he added, calls for a systematic framework plan for implementation of innovation bio-based eco-friendly solutions to further boost the ongoing economic growth. The minister said that Mission Life launched by Prime Minister urges the people to put forward green and friendly environmental solutions. Researchers at Indian Institute of Science have developed a novel technique that combines optical micropsy with a neuromorphic camera aided by machine learning algorithms that can go beyond the diffraction limit of light and detect minute objects. A neuromorphic camera mimics the way human retina converts light into electrical impulses. In a typical camera, each pixel captures the intensity of light falling on it. For the entire exposure time, the camera focuses on the object. All these pixels are pooled together to reconstruct an image of the object. In neuromorphic cameras, each pixel operates independently and asynchronously, generating events or spikes only when there is a change in the intensity of light falling on that pixel. This generates sparks and lower amounts of data compared to traditional cameras, which capture every pixel value at a fixed rate regardless of whether there is any change in the scene. This allows a neuromorphic camera to sample the environment with much higher temporal resolution because it is not limited by a frame rate like normal cameras, and also performs background suppression. Neuromorphic cameras have a very high dynamic range, which means they can be used in different conditions ranging from a very low light environment to very high light conditions. The resolution of a microscope is proportional to the size of its objective and inversely proportional to the wavelength of light being observed. In 1873, the German physicist Ernst Abbe discovered how microscopes were limited by the diffraction of light. He revealed that the resolution of a microscope is not controlled by the instrument's quality, but by the wavelength of the light used and the aperture of its optics. Thus, diffraction limits the ability of microscope to distinguish between two objects divided by a lateral distance of less than half the wavelength of light used to image the sample. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh on Tuesday discussed ways to enhance defense industrial cooperation with the United Kingdom in a telephonic conversation with its Secretary of State for Defense Ben Wallace. The Defense Ministry said that the conversation was cordial, positive, and focused on the future growth of bilateral defense relationship. It said that both the ministers discussed a wide range of defense and security issues, including regional developments and Indo-Pacific. Briefly reviewing their ongoing defense cooperation, ministers expressed satisfaction with their bilateral military to military engagements. A few potential areas of cooperation were also identified. During their conversations, Mr. Singh suggested that UK companies should become part of India's growth story and participate in co development and co production in India. Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has said that India is setting up a digital university which will drastically reduce the cost of higher education and skill education. He said this will also increase accessibility to a wide variety of education and skill programs. Mr. Pradhan said this while addressing the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit virtually on Tuesday. The minister said the government is creating multiple entry and exit points in the education system, which will provide youth horizontal and vertical mobility across disciplines in general education and skill education. Mr. Pradhan also highlighted the role of open source digital tools that have helped India realize its ambition in the education and skill sector. Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandaviya on Tuesday addressed the World Health Organization WHO's high-level meeting on integrated people-centered eye care. Dr. Mandaviya elaborated on the need for a collective effort to reduce the burden of visual impairment. He stressed the need to ensure equitable access to high quality and comprehensive eye health with the use of latest technology and innovation. He also highlighted India's multiple steps towards blindness management much before it was raised at a global level. Dr. Mandaviya said India believes that eye care is an integral part of universal health coverage and the government is committed to ensuring equitable access to quality eye health services for all. Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikanta Das steered the second section on financial sector and financial inclusion during the first G20 Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors meeting in Bangalore on 24th February. Nirmala Sitharaman invited the delegates to discuss key financial stability and regulatory priorities and policy approaches for leveraging digital public infrastructure to advance financial inclusion and productivity gains for G20 and beyond. She underlined the need to coordinate and complement G20 efforts to support responsible technological innovations and safeguard the stability of the financial system. She advocated caution while innovating with an emphasis on balancing the associated risk. In her closing remarks, the financial minister welcomed the support for crypto assets, especially with regard to building and understanding the macro financial implications with a coordinated global policy on crypto assets. On the concluding day of G20 Financial Ministers and Central Bank Governors meeting in Bangalore, The delegates comprises financial ministers, central bank governors and international organization representatives will visit Indian Institute of Science in the morning. The visit title Walk the Talk policy in making will bring G20 delegates and the Indian tech innovators together for an interaction. The delegates will engage with tech innovators and entrepreneurs who are working on affordable and scalable solutions to some of the challenges being faced by G20 member countries. After the visit, the third and concluding section on global economy, health, and international taxation will be held. In the evening, the most important communique will be adopted after arriving at a consensus. Defense PSU Bharat Electronics Limited has recently signed an MOU with Israel Aerospace Industries for the domestic manufacture and supply of its LoRa weapon system for Indian tri-services. It is a sea to ground and ground to ground system which comprises a long range ballistic missile, a unique launcher, a command and control system, and a ground marine support system. It is developed by IAI's Missiles and Space Group, Malam Division. It provides ballistic assault capabilities for multiple ranges with a precision level of 10 meters CEP. Ballistic missiles can be launched from both ground and sea based platforms. It has a range of 280 km. It is propelled by a single stage solid fuel rocket motor. Its guidance system is based on both the global positioning system and the inertial navigation system with possible in-flight maneuvering capability. Recently, the Prime Minister of India congratulated fellow members of Parliament who will be conferred the Sansad Ratna Awards 2023. The Sansad Ratna Awards were instituted in 2020, inspired by the teachings of former President APJ Abdul Kalam, who launched the first edition of award function in Chennai. The jury committee has chosen a total of 13 MPs and 2 parliamentary committees for the award, with a lifetime award being presented for the first 2023 awards. The jury committee comprises eminent parliamentarians and members of civil society. The nominations were based on an MP's cumulative performance in Parliament from the beginning of 17th Lok Sabha until the end of winter session 2022. Factors that the decision is based on include questions asked, private members, bills introduced, debates initiated, attendance, funds utilized, etc. The performance data of the members have been sourced from information provided by PRS Legislative Research. The center has announced the release of 20 lakh tons of wheat from Food Corporation of India in open market for sale through e-auction. The reduction in reserve price along with the additional offloading of 20 lakh tons of wheat will collectively help in reducing the market price of wheat and wheat products for consumers. Earlier, the Committee of Ministers, under the chairmanship of Home Minister Amit Shah, had decided to release 30 lakh tons of wheat for sale through e-auction to flour mills, private traders, buyers, and manufacturers of wheat products. The Consumer Affairs Ministry said so far 50 lakh tons of wheat have been decided to offload under Open Market Sales Scheme 2023. The ministry said after the announcement of Open Market Sales Scheme Policy 2023, the prices of the wheat and atta have come down. The government has emphasized on launching an over-the-top OTT platform for Prasar Bharati this year to increase its footprint in the rapidly changing broadcasting industry. The center on Tuesday approved the quality control order for mandatory certification of cotton bales, presiding the fifth interactive meeting with Textile Advisory Group in New Delhi. Textiles, Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal stressed branding of Indian cotton, and adding great value to the entire cotton value chain from farmers to consumers. Recently, India has achieved much needed success in its indigenously technology cruise missile program by missile test firing from launch pad number 3 of Chandipur. The National Highways Authority of India, along with the Department of Fertilizers and the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, is going to take up field trials on NHAI projects for use of phosphor gypsum in national highway construction. Recently, the Government of India approved reservation norms for the mandatory use of jute in the packaging of rice, wheat, and sugar for the year 2022-23. In Maharashtra, the Women 20, W20, and official G20 engagement group inception meeting to be held on 27th and 28th of February at Aurangabad. Union Minister for Women and Child Development, Smriti Subin Irani, will inaugurate the meeting. Prime Minister Narendra Modi emphasized that various announcements have been made in this year's budget to promote the agriculture sector so that the nation becomes Atmanirbhar and the money used to imports can reach the farmers. He informed that the agriculture budget, which was less than 25,000 crores in 2014, has been increased to more than 1,25,000 crores today.